Let's take a look at this picture. What elements can you find in this picture? You might recognize this, yes. This is the icon of Apple's GarageBand. You can see the black keys and white keys from a keyboard, F-shaped sound holes from a violin, and the overall shape looks like a guitar. All these elements have a special meaning to me. The story began when I was in kindergarten. I was forced to take piano courses and I hated them. At first, the notes on stave are like this, this. But later, it turned out to be like this, this, and this. What's more, I need to practice every day, and every time, it's just frustrating.
By the time I was in primary school, I still had enough of this torture and dropped my piano courses. The next 6 years were the years without music. Not until I saw a practical side of music did it return to my life. When I entered Junior 1, I wanted a girlfriend. And what better ways to charm the ladies than with guitar? So I took the course, I played and sang, having lots of fun. But unfortunately, when I was finally confident enough to play on stage, it was already Junior 3. Everyone was preparing for the high school entrance exam, so my grand plan failed. But those years of practice introduced me to a new concept, the chord. The chord refers to certain sounds that have certain interval relationships. Usually 3 or more notes. For example, do, mi, so, deng, that's a C major chord. Comparing music to a house and notes to bricks, chords are the sermons that connect the bricks. They constitute all music. Before I know what a chord is, I just simply copy the notes onto the keys of my piano and the strings of my guitar. But having known what a chord is, I could play without a complete music score, but with a combination of chords. By discerning the chords in each song, I can play nearly all the pop songs I like. I felt the door to a new world opened to me, a word called improvisation. I found that music is changeable, is diverse, and is colorful. I took a piano class again, but this time, having known how the staves were composed, I can now emphasize with the once confounding staves that now tell the triumphs and the tragedies of their composers. In the Fifth Symphony, I heard Beethoven's anguished struggle against hearing loss. In Chopin's evolutionary etude, I heard his inner grief and indignation after the defeat of the Warsaw Revolution. Meanwhile, fresh nouns like mode, Dorian, or accompaniment like do, so, mi, so came to my life. Then I made a big decision. I'm going to compose. I'm going to write lyrics by myself. I want to make my own music. There were lots of difficulties like renting a soundbox, rehearsal, and designing performance, and all the tricky stuff like that. But eventually, I sang my very first song with my band at my graduation ceremony, and I'm the guitarist and lead singer for the first time in my life. Now, let's take a look at the final element, the F-shaped sound holes, which means the next goal, the violin. Some people might say it's too late to learn to play the violin after 5 years old, but I always believe it's never too late to start a new instrument, as well as having empathy with or to discover the magic of music, as I have done. I'm afraid my story needs to end here, and if you want to know more about how I fell in love with music, you can actually come to me later. But on the other hand, the magic that music has played on me doesn't seem to have the same effect on other people. I did a questionnaire survey in 4 classes in Senior 1 of SMS, and here are the results. In general, more than half of them had been forced by their parents to learn a musical instrument from a very young age. However, it's interesting to note that more than 36% of them had totally forgotten how to play their major musical instruments. 60% of them had hated their major music instrument, and 91% of them had given up practicing musical instruments. It's really sad. Notably, we are still following a very traditional music education pattern, one that emphasizes correctness over innovation, one that prioritizes implementation before creation. Basically, children are asked to play exactly the same notes for weeks and even for months. In some cases, their teachers blame them a lot just because they can't control the intensity well or they press the wrong keys. I met some kids who said the sight of piano is repugnant. To me, it's very reasonable for kids to have antipathy to playing musical instruments or even to music itself. But do we have no other ways to learn a musical instrument besides to copy a score perfectly? Those music compositions are beautiful, of course, but it would be too harsh for young kids to copy them note by note. From my perspective, what we need in 21st century is more improvisation. Our children want to be guided instead of led. Their interest in music fostered instead of coerced. Their decisions deliberated instead of told. That's why we teach the music with chords and improvisation theory. If we really want them to enjoy music, why blame them for pressing the wrong notes? If they are taught to play their own music, they will no longer be scolded for pressing the wrong keys, or playing at the wrong volume, or memorizing the wrong notes, especially what if there are no correct notes from the beginning? In jazz and blues, many notes are often recognized as inconsonants or wrong notes in classical ones. However, they do exist in modern music theory and give people a fresh feeling, gaining great popularity in the 20th century. So, what is right and what is wrong? And who are we to define them for a new generation, bursting with creativity and longing for accomplishment? Someone might say, well, it's too difficult to teach the beginners to improvise. How can anyone create their original music without mastering the classics first? Actually, I can, and you'll soon find it surprisingly simple. So, any volunteers, give me some notes from do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, si, do, randomly. Anyone? Any volunteers? Raise some hands. Or you can just say, like, no one. Oh, right. Echo, please. Fa, sol, la. You mean this one, right? These four notes. Okay, their fa, sol, la, do is C major scale, and I will just use these four notes as their complement. For example, my left hand just play these four notes, and my right hand played randomly, and we'll soon figure out how the magic happens with improvisation. That's a do. That's a do, and I just with repeat of fa sol la do. Add some more notes. Again with fa sol la do. That's okay. So in the last case, I just use fa sol la do 4 notes as with my left hand as the accompaniment mode, and for the right hand, I just simply repeat the some same notes like do re mi, do mi sol, or la, or something like that. But together, you'll find out that's what improvisation is. So it's surprisingly simple, isn't it? Our children are born with musical talent, born to love and create their original music if we don't discourage them with fixed judgment about right and wrong. If they no longer be blamed for changing a note, no longer forced to perfect their imitation of an unfamiliar musician, no longer told that good music can only be copied. Only that can music strike a chord in their heart, as it did with mine.